Hi, Buccaneers. Good day. I hope everybody is well as we are enjoying the team, the signings of the team, and I hope you are happy. You are enjoying everything that the team is doing. But then, when we look at the team so far, we can clearly see that Orlando Pirates is not yet done in the transfer market because there are positions that are still vulnerable. You look at the goalkeeping department. Melusi Buthelezi, Ethan Visagi, and Siyabonga Dladla as deputies to Sipochaine gives an impression that Orlando Pirates, they don't have a really strong goalkeeping department, because when you minus Sipochaine from these four goalkeepers, it's highly unlikely that Orlando Pirates will be able to compete seriously for any title or any cup competition without Sipochaine, especially even considering that China has been very good when it comes to saving penalties. So, shoot out. So Orlando Pirates, they will need to bring in a goalkeeper into that goalkeeping department to make sure that they've got enough depth, because Ethan Visagi has been used more in the DDC. So with Melusi Buthelezi being the second choice goalkeeper, Melusi Buthelezi hasn't really convinced entirely, because even under the high balls, because he's taller, you expect some of these balls to be sort of a routine catch-up, but then he hasn't been able to hold on to the ball firmly. Playing from the back hasn't convinced, because he's a little bit heavy under the ball, especially moving the ball from one feet to the other, trying to play to one of the two splitting center backs on his side. So sometimes it becomes very difficult for Melusi, and I strongly believe that as much as Pirates, they need to keep Melusi, but they still need to bring another goalkeeper who can come and help Orlando Pirates in that goalkeeping department, especially considering that next season is going to be even more difficult. Mamelodi Sundowns will try to win not only the league, but 2 cups as well, and Kaizer Chiefs will be stronger. So Orlando Pirates, they need a very, very strong team. And one of the areas that I still believe they need to beef up is goalkeeping department. And there are a few options around Sekhukhune. They've got a goalkeeper there. They have just strengthened their goalkeeping department with Torsten Sabata, who was in Zambia. He came back to Sekhukhune, and they have just signed Sabata from Zambia. Then he will be back with Sekhukhune there. And then Lema, who has been their goalkeeper, is one of the options that Orlando Pirates could consider, even though he was, a few weeks ago, he was linked strongly with Kaizer Chiefs, but he's one of the players who can be considered as well. But Sekhukhune, then they have released Ali Badra Sankare, but then because they wanted to bring a foreign player, that could be the reason that forced Sekhukhune to release the Ivorian goalkeeper, so that they can bring in Sabata to come and beef up their goalkeeping department. Even though it's not going to be easy to release the goalkeeper like Lema, who has been very good for them, I strongly believe that this is one of the options that Orlando Pirates should consider to make sure that they've got a very strong depth in order to compete. Because if you look at Mamelodi Sundowns over the years, they've always made sure that they've got enough goalkeepers, plus minus 5, and others out on loan, like your Ricardo Kos at Supersport, who's been at Supersport, or Ishmael Watenga, and other goalkeepers that Mamelodi have got. While at the club, they've got Ronan Williams, they've got Dennis Onyango, they've got Riyad Peterse, they've got the likes of Jody February. So Mamelodi Sundowns, they've made sure that when it comes to goalkeeping department, and that has been key for them for their success. Depth, not only in terms of the players on the field, but also in goalkeeping department. Now, when we move to the left back position, Cape Town City, especially after Cape Town City they got relegated, is one option, especially with the fact that Violet Lapa at Sekhukhune United, seems like there is a lot of interest from him, even overseas and in North Africa, and of which it could be very difficult for Orlando Pirates to compete for Violet Lapa. There was also the news that the team in France, they are looking to sign that talented left back. So Sorofa from Cape Town City is the option that Orlando Pirates is most likely to consider to make sure that they've got enough depth at that left back position, especially with the news that Mamelodi Sundowns is most likely to conclude the deal for forwards Pasadena from Stellenbosch and going into the next season, because Orlando Pirates, they won't be able to manage the whole season with Dion Horton, Konandaba, and Yanga Madiba. Yanga Madiba really hasn't really proven himself to be a high caliber, high quality player for a club like Orlando Pirates, especially with the ambitions that the club would want to, with the ambitions that they have for next season. So Serofa Tsonyama from Cape Town City is one player who's a good option for Orlando Pirates that they can consider as an alternative to Violet Lapa. I think it's going to be a very good buy for them, should they consider, and it's a player that they need to consider. And another position that is vulnerable at centre back, Orlando Pirates, they've got 5 centre backs. They've got Tabiso Sasani, they've got Oli Sanda, they've got Mbegele Mbogazi, they've got Tapelo Toge as well as Ngosnati CBC, but they don't have good headers of the ball. They've got players who can play on the ground, technically very good, who can pass from the back as part of the game model building from the back. But apart from Olisanda, Orlando Pirates, they need somebody with a towering presence at the back who can help them to win those aerial balls, because in the CAF Champions League, we've seen how Orlando Pirates, they've suffered, even though they were strong. But Pyramids really exposed them that they were not strong as they thought. And because locally in our domestic league, not many teams, they're playing crosses into the box, because then as a result, our local teams, they are not used to defending crosses, especially against teams that are very, very strong like North Africans. But it's when we go to the CAF Champions League when we realize that we really need a strong defender who can head the ball with height and distance. And the last time we saw those things, it was when we still have the likes of Siasa Ngweni, who was there, the likes of Lucky Lekwatu, who were playing there. And in this current squad, only Olisanda give that assurance and security and calmness when it comes to those aerial balls. Then a player like a 1.9 meters tall DRC international Fasika Nathan Idumba from Cape Town City is one of the options that I believe Orlando Pirates should consider. Even his compatriot Treso Chibabo Yamba from Sekhukhune United. But Yamba Sekhukhune have just extended his contract at the club. But as they say, every player has a price. So Orlando Pirates centre back, at the heart of defense, they need a defender who's very strong, who can head the ball aggressively with height and distance. And I think the game against Pyramids, when they eliminated Pirates in the CAF Champions League semi-finals, really highlighted that, because Olisanda has been more prone to injuries, and he's not a player that you can be certain that he will play, he will stay injury-free for the rest of the season. And then Orlando Pirates, they need a player of such caliber, and I think those two players, those are the players that they should consider looking at the. But what will be key as well is the foreign quota. Whether Orlando Pirates, they've got the foreign quota is filled, especially with the Malian midfielder Mariko, most likely to be officially signed by the club and announced maybe before the preseason or after the preseason. So it could be the only thing that prevents Orlando Pirates from bringing a defender of that caliber. That defender doesn't necessarily need to be as technical as Olisanda, as good on the ball as Mbokazi, but they need a defender first who enjoys defending, who enjoys heading the ball. Tapelo Toge and Ngosnati CBC, they've been a little bit apologetic when it comes to winning aerial duels and being heading with aggression. And if centre backs, centre halves, centre forwards are rather like Mayele, they enjoyed themselves playing against them because they were just enjoying free headers. And that's something that Orlando Pirates need to address going into next season. Another area that needs to be beefed up is on the flanks. On the right, Mahungota can compete with the new signing Moremi there from Amazulu. But then on the other side, on the left, there is only Relebohile Mofokeng. And as it stands, it's unclear whether Relebohile Mofokeng will be staying or will be moving to Europe, because interests are coming. And even his father, Sichaba, wants to see Mofokeng going to overseas this season. Then it can be even worse for Orlando Pirates should Mofokeng leave, especially if the issue of Monapule Saleng remains hanging as it stands now. We don't know what is happening with regards to Monapule Saleng, and that alone, should Mofokeng leave, it is going to even to make Pirates to be more vulnerable, because then it means Tsepa Moremi will have to move to the left with Nkota on the right. But then on the bench, they wouldn't be having anybody. They could find themselves again using Bandile Shandu on as a winger, of which I don't think it's something that any coach would want. But then with Absalom Wadu at Orlando Pirates, he's got the relationship with a player like Daniel Msandami that he was coaching, but he's a foreigner as well. So much will depend on the foreign quota, whether it's filled or not at Orlando Pirates, because that it plays a massive role even when you are interested on a foreign player. So those are the areas that Orlando Pirates needs to strengthen. Oswin Opolis, Diven Titus from Stellenbosch and Opolis from Polokwane City. Those are the two goal-scoring wingers in the league that Orlando Pirates should consider at least one of them going to the next season. They have been linked with both players in the past, especially Opolis. But then with regards to Diven Titus, Stellenbosch, they are hardly sell. But then Orlando Pirates should make sure that they've got more depth, unlike last season where they've got only Mahaungo, Atarlebule, Mofokeng. And once we have those two on the pitch, you don't have anybody on the bench. At least now they've got Tsepa Moremi, but still they need another winger who can help Orlando Pirates, because in modern game, wingers, they are scoring a lot of goals. If you look even in Europe, the likes of Gabriel Martinelli from Arsenal, Bukayo Saka, those are the wingers who are scoring a lot of goals. You've got Mo Salah, you've got Cody Gakpo. When they are playing on the side, those are the players who scoring the most of goals. And then whether it's at national level, you've got the PSG with Desiree Doué as well, Ousmane Dembele. They are scoring a lot of goals more than the center forwards because they attack the goals while facing them, unlike the striker who play with his back to goal. So Orlando Pirates must prioritize getting one more winger to make sure that at least they have depth. And I hope that that's something they are going to do. And as I said, the transfer window will only be officially open on Tuesday, on the 1st of July. So they still have a plenty of time, at least up until the 22nd of September. That's when the transfer window will be closing. So Orlando Pirates, they still have a plenty of time to make sure that they make necessary signings to ensure that the club is ready to compete and be consistent over the duration of the season. Because in the past few seasons, Orlando Pirates under Rivera, Orlando Pirates, what cost them is lack of consistency. And lack of consistency was caused by the fact that when one key or 2-3 players who are very key, they got injured, they don't have somebody of the same quality who can come in and step in, you know, to make sure that the team, they become consistent in getting results and producing the performances. So those are the areas that I strongly believe that Orlando Pirates should beef up going into next season. Thank you for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please drop your comments. As I always do, I will respond to your comment. Whatever comment, I make sure that I respond. Let's engage down there in the comment section. Thank you for watching this video. I see you on the next video.